special event alert.
My wife forgot to plug in the electric car, which is Gen Z excuse number 3 for being late for changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm Marty Smith, your host, and I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Barat.
Peace, troops. How are you?
Our man in the closet, Jake Wall.
Good to see you guys, as always.
And our very own puzzle princess, Anna Mondragon.
In PJs again.
Bougie robe.
Bougie people.
Love it.
We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other lower branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover. Group, we got a guest with us returning to the show. Josh Respecki. Well, welcome back, man.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
That's quite the last name, Respecki.
Oh,
Good to be here.
The whole name is quite the bit.
Well, try to spell it. That's a bitch. That's still a bitch. So if I didn't have it saved in my phone, I'd still jack it up. So
Well, F-U and F-U and F-U and F-U. I like you.
I tell you, whatever it is, it's still legendary. It's
That
still
took
legendary farewell story. So,
I'm going to keep that for my next
yeah.
farewell,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
But if you had known what he gone through, it was well deserved to everybody he pointed at. That's for sure. So, Josh, welcome back to the show. How's the tobacco business?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back, guys.
So you were on. You just got back from trade show, right?
Yeah, just going to see all my different states, different trade show, legislative meetings, different stuff like that. So it's good to be back in my own house, in my office.
Oh, nice. What's the legislative meetings like? Are they? I mean, you've been to a million of them by now, probably.
Yeah.
But can you tell when you kind of got some leverage going, or what are you actually trying to legislate for or push legislation for?
It's more just getting retailers and people that sell tobacco involved in their local or state legislation. So some states do things very easy. They have a discussion. They open up a question of, do we want A or do we want B? Everyone can pile in, and there's an orderly vote. What we see a lot of times, especially in the hotbeds, we'll call it Illinois, Minnesota, California, Massachusetts, New York are the world's local municipalities will do fly-by-night kind of things where an ordinance will be brought up and voted on within 24 to 48 hours. So it's really just kind of getting the retailers informed of what's going on, getting their voice, giving them a platform, and then working with our legal and external affairs folks to make sure that we're bringing the masses kind of what it is, because you know how they like to tuck certain things into certain bills. So it's just making sure that if people want to buy tobacco, that it's a fair and even floor. And we use a lot of comparisons to alcohol, disposable vapes with the flavors. So it's just, if it's going to be regulated, let's regulate it even across the board. So kind of in a nutshell.
It's always got to be a fight of, if they had their way, they'd ban all of it, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to be an uphill battle.
The next gen are all about those vapes. Sorry.
White nicotine modern oral vapes. Yeah. So it's a same thing 30 years ago, which was filters being put in cigarettes, is the same metamorphosis that's going on right now.
Right.
So it's just, it's all bad until you look at the tax dollars and revenue it brings a state or a city. And then it's hard to give it up on both ends. So
big dollar.
But they don't seem to come after cigars. It's always just like, the big evil tobacco, right? So
yeah,
I mean, the big evil cigarettes, I should say it that way.
Well, the size of the business too. If you look at cigars, it's such a minute business comparative to cigarettes, right? Same thing. They're not going after, motorcycle industry the way they are automobiles, because automobile industry is so much bigger in the billions comparative. So it's easier to target. So
yeah, damn. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fascinating, actually.
Yeah.
I think we'd be better off as a country if they went back to allowing smoking. Maybe not so public all the time, but people need a break. People need some relief. It's like go out and smoke a cigarette and come back, and they're like, okay, I'm calm.
De-stress.
They don't need a pill. Just go get a fucking Marlboro Red, and
That's
take
where the good
10
gossip
minutes
is,
and
though.
come on back.
Smoke
sure.
pit, man.
Yeah, well, back in the
right.
day, how many people decided to go smoking just because in basic training, you got to take a break for a
Did you start
cigarette break.
smoking?
No, I never did, but I
Well,
wanted
Anna's
to.
raising her hand.
Anna,
They went out
Anna
to
did.
take a cigarette break.
A
Yeah.
puff and a blow. I'm smoking. I'm doing
Anna,
it.
Anna never inhaled. Never inhaled.
I need a break
Nice.
too. I want my 15 minutes.
Heck yeah,
puff
that was
and a
ridiculous
blow.
back
That's-
in the day, man.
You already set the quote for the show right there. A puff and a blow.
Puff
I
and a
like
blow.
it.
Anniversary
It
night
wasn't
or
for
something.
realies. It was just like
And you can hold it out here and just
Yeah,
let
you're
it
just
burn
holding
down
it,
and
letting
you're
it burn.
like, right. Did you ever smoke and get caught by your parents?
No.
No, I couldn't either.
No.
I never did either.
Nope.
So, it was just way too hard to hide. But
Yeah.
it's way too hard of a habit to get into. Because I did Copenhagen for forever because of the army, but it was
Yeah.
like you're not pressured, but I want to be with the group. And it was like, okay, I'll do this. I was like, God, this really burns the shit out of my lip.
I
After a
never
while,
started.
it's
All my,
vomit.
Okay.
It makes me
Yeah.
want to vomit.
yeah.
Right.
Everybody growing
Uh,
up, though, either dipped or smoked. Right now,
Right.
my parents, but like at the ranch, there was a handful that smoked. All the friends in high school dipped.
Were
But
they doing leaf or were they doing snuff?
No, yeah, the packets.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh well.
Well,
yeah,
that was before the
that's what they did.
pouches.
Yeah. Now, see,
Yeah.
I go back far enough where you took out that
Before.
leafy red man.
Yeah.
Ah,
You
I've
guys that did
tried
that.
I've tried
You-
that and I threw up like terribly. I was like, I'll give it a try. Sure. Why not? I've tried cigars, cigarettes, snuff packets. Like, why not?
ugh.
I'm about to foreskin us in right now.
Even picnics.
Yeah, a little Nick.
The Dick Nick.
You're gonna start seeing an advertisement for that.
Yeah.
Josh, if you maybe you can pitch that over to your advertisers. Maybe that's something they can work in.
I'll let you,
What
I'll let
about
you
a
guys-
pre-shaped?
I mean, we went from back in the 70s where it was just a little pinch between your cheek and gum to the modern day Dick Nick. So
Dick
Yeah.
maybe that would work.
marketing in select magazines only, I guess.
Mhm.
How do
The
people come
Paul
up
Mall Band
Guns and
cowboy is
ammo.
rolling over in his grave.
with, do you ever sit and think, like, how do men come up with these things? Like alcohol in the butthole, dick.
Oh,
in
It's
your
all solving a
nick in your
problem.
dick.
We're solution based.
A
Right?
lot.
I can't
Remember
have
there-
this
Like,
information.
do it, bro.
Where's a fleshy
Try it.
portion I could
Give
fit?
it a try.
We solved the
You're gonna
problem.
be fine.
Oh my
That's a good
goodness.
It'll be
point.
cool.
That's not the problem.
Yeah. And the fact that
Not
you brought
getting
up
drunk
butt
enough,
funneling is
drunk
hilarious.
fast enough,
Yeah.
butt funnel.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do after a butt funnel? You have a little dick nick, and you just
Even it out. Even it out.
just,
What was
you know,
that movie?
Oh
What
my
was that
God, where
movie?
did we go with this? Oh,
What
goodness.
is that movie that the parent tried it because he was at a party?
Oh, no.
You tried what?
He tried funneling beer into his.
Oh, I don't
No,
know
it
what
was-
that
it
was.
It was John Cena.
Yeah,
What movie was that?
yeah. They were like
Cock blockers?
following their kids. What was that?
Cock blockers. I believe
Yeah,
was the
cock
movie.
blockers. Absolutely terrible idea.
So,
Good movie, but terrible idea.
Josh had told me that he was planning on showing this to his wife and his
Oh,
young
never
daughter,
mind.
but not anymore.
Maybe next one.
We'll just
10
say,
minutes of
hey,
solid.
skip ahead 15 minutes and then start from there. So,
Yeah.
Oh
Speaking
my
of that,
goodness.
we could talk about that all episode.
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
That's a good time.
But let's go to the news. All right. So we got a couple of interesting stories here to talk about. This one is from a website I don't often go to, but it's Defense News. So this, and it's not I guess it's kind of opinion, but everybody's been talking about it. And finally, Trump's pick to lead NASA has just come out and said it. He's like, screw it. This is what we're going to do. Trump's
it's gonna
NASA
happen.
pick says military will inevitably put troops in space. Of course we will. Planes started just by, it's just observation. And they're like, hey, could you carry a bomb too? And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Can you just drop that over as you're walking?
We're gonna launch from space now.
Yeah, why not
Yeah.
space? We'll just carry a bomb up there, and if you feel like it, throw it out. President-elect Donald Trump's choice to be NASA's next administrator, Jared Isaacman, said Wednesday that as the U.S. establishes more of human presence in space, it will eventually need Space Force guardians stationed in the domain to protect its economic interests. Now, remember this story when I get to the last story of the day. So, Isaacman said at the Space Force Association Space Power Conference in Orlando, Florida, if Americans are in low Earth orbit, there's going to be people watching out for them for all the reasons we described before. Isaacman, a tech billionaire who has traveled to space twice on commercial missions, I think both with SpaceX. He went up with that all-civilian crew.
Definitely not both.
James T. Kirk.
No, yeah, right. So he's gone up twice with them, paying his way, of course. Said exploration and economic ambitions will drive more commercial and civil activity in space in the coming years, from space mining to NASA discovery missions. While some of that work will be done by robotic probes or remote operators, some of it will also require human input. Isaacman is not the first to suggest that the military may one day have troops in space. The former second in command at U.S. Space Command, retired Lieutenant General John Shaw, said in 2020 that the Defense Department would one day send guardians to operate command centers or perform other missions in the domain. Isaacman didn't offer a timeline for his prediction, but suggested that a military presence in space could coincide with future NASA Moon and Mars missions, especially since the Chinese are going to the moon. You know, we got to draw some borders up there.
Could you imagine doing a
Might.
shift in space?
No,
Shift.
or a short tour would probably be more term. You'd be there a year or so, I bet.
A short tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to space, and we'll give you your assignment when you come back.
Yeah,
Unless
you,
you're
you'll
Sonny
get your
and
choice.
Butch.
Yeah, unless you're Sonny and Butch and you're stuck
Of all extended orders
Still
again.
there.
Damn it.
I'm stuck.
Yep.
What's their additional duties? Does one of them have like, are they doing piss tests in space? Are they doing urinalysis? I mean, the Soviets are coming up there. You never know what they're on.
Oh, yeah.
He said this is the trajectory that humankind is going to follow. America is going to lead, and we're going to need guardians there on the high ground looking out for us. So we're going to send troops.
And we're going to send Space Force guardians? Really?
Well, let's see.
Okay.
Basically,
What are you going to guard up there, man?
That's what are you going to mine? Space mining?
Oh,
Mining
no,
what?
yeah. There's a shit ton of minerals on any one of those asteroids.
Really?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's going to be like the
Yeah.
first like the explorers. They're like, hey, we're just friendly explorers, and then somebody
Yeah.
brings a gun, and you're like,
Yeah.
fuck. Now it's all changed, right? That's how space is going to be.
Apparently, you didn't see Bruce Willis trying to land on an asteroid, did you? I don't
No,
think
he
that
did
shit
good.
can happen just like that.
That looked reckless.
Yeah,
It
a
did
little
in
reckless.
Armageddon, baby.
Yeah, a
They
little
needed
reckless.
a safety officer.
Especially when he got space dementia.
Safety
he had the
officer.
he had the gun. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Right.
guy-
I always thought that position was so. Okay, I'm choosing my words kindly.
Why would you? Now. Let it rip.
Come on.
Throw another dick
I'm a
in and let it
safety
fly.
officer for a space wing. I'm like, how the freak did you get that? I want that job. Because what are you doing? looking for tripping hazards.
You know what he's
Yeah.
doing? He's got to do all the paperwork when somebody goes and hurts themselves, like at the beach or something like that,
Yeah, that's
while
true,
they're
huh?
on leave. And this guy's got to fill out all the mishap paperwork. And
Gator
so,
ball.
yeah, he's the stucky. He's not making anything safer. He's just a paperwork process.
Yep.
So,
Nice.
Sounds great to me.
I'm going to go
I
up
can
and be the
still-
Velcro guy. I'm going to put Velcro in strategic locations for
Mhm.
all opportune
Headaches
times
for everybody.
and do
Well,
it for safely.
I mean, is it going to be officers that are going up there with guns? Or are they going to train enlisted? And if they're going to train enlisted, I see an Armageddon training montage with a bunch of enlisted knuckleheads going up there. Think of the enlisted guys we worked with.
Ooh.
They're the ones they're going to send up into space. And you're like, really? This idiot? Who?
What would you
Look at
do with a gun in space?
It's for space dementia. You can shoot yourself.
There's some
We could barely
blown
keep this.
away. Like, oh, I tried to kill myself in space, but it flew away.
We could barely keep the snack bar open in the socket, Sibbers, with
That's
so many
right.
crews. And we're going to throw them in a capsule and go
Wait.
mine them?
We backed up the goddamn bathroom like once a quarter. You know?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh man, are we gonna trust these knuckleheads up in
Not
space?
going to work. God.
You know, I mean, you go down to Schriever or you get deployed, and who's in the bunkers? Oh, security forces getting it on. Imagine them up in space.
Well, why
Oh
do you
my
think I said
God.
I would be the
Filthy,
Velcro
filthy
guy?
There.
That's
bastard.
why you're gonna be stuck to
I'm
the
going to be the
walls.
Velcro guy, man.
You guys had some dirty couches.
Where's Parat for his shift?
Migraines. Every cop is complaining of migraines because the blood doesn't go all the way around.
Come on now.
Remember that issue? You're like, oh no.
Oh, yes. Velcroed up.
Have we
upside
ever
down.
had an actual enlisted astronaut though? I mean, we send military up there all the time. Almost every one of our
That's
NASA
interesting. It
astronauts
seems
is
like-
former pilot.
It seems like if we have, they would have celebrated that person, right? They would have been
But could
like,
you
"Oh,
imagine
first enlisted
if
astronaut."
how much we would learn if we sent like a non-educated person to space? Like, think about when they're like most of the people that we spin up there are like
They're all like PhDs.
educated
right?
or-
You
Yeah.
ignorant enlisted swine. Show us the peon's view of
Most-
space, please.
hold on. Most of the things that we have learned as far as mistakes and wording or actions have been through people
Uneducated
like
losers.
younger generations. So I am choosing my words carefully, but you know what I mean.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad
To me, like,
theory because,
learned would
like, if
go
you look
out
on the
all way.
Claymore, the Claymore has printed into the plastic this side
Towards the
towards
front.
enemy, right?
Yeah.
This
Why did they have to
beverage
print
is
that?
what?
Oh, you know
sometimes,
why?
like, I don't know which way this goes.
No, because if you didn't know anything about it, if you didn't know anything about a mortar, or you wouldn't be able to tell which way does it explode. It's just it's a half moon.
Well, but to further Honest point, every
Yes, I
warning
would
in the
agree.
army is because some dumb shit has died because
Dude,
it was
Actual.
screwed up.
We were issued
Actual.
army mittens up in Alaska, and they literally said these work for both hands. These are like there was instruction manual in the mitten.
But we
It's
could
like
learn
always bring an
so
extra
much.
pair of gloves. I was like, what the fuck 4-year-olds are they giving these mittens to? Why are they so advanced at reading? I don't know, use mittens, but they sure as hell can read. Come on.
They
Yep.
tell us technical orders should be written at the 9th grade level.
So
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah, I believe that.
maybe we need to do a couple hundred missions with just like some knuckleheads like us up there
Yes.
and see. And 75% come back, but they all come back with a lesson learned. So
Yes.
that's
Okay.
great.
Lost ear, lost nipple. I don't know. Velcro. I was thinking Velcro.
It's going all one way with Anya today.
Yep. Good night.
Dementia, lost nipple.
Yeah, hey, well, that it could happen. It's a
Drink
possibility.
some water, Anna.
Can you imagine seeing that warning? Warning: excessive nipple damage may occur if watch your thighs and your nipples. What led up to that?
I
Now
don't know.
that's a safety officer piece of paperwork. How did you
Yeah,
know?
that's true. Hey, safety officer, we need an anti-nipple losing brief, please. ASAP, they're about to launch.
You don't know. Just saying.
Well, speaking of nipples, we have a couple of female stories here coming up. So,
I have nipples
Oh,
that
we're
might have
rare
been a
form
rough
tonight.
transition. That might have been rougher than I
He's
thought.
going to ask for this to please don't get aired. Please.
What?
too. Men have nipples
I'm a
too.
successful man supporting a wife and children. I need this money. I need this job.
She's going to go, how'd the podcast go? I can't wait to hear it. You'll be like,
Oh,
we didn't do it. We didn't have
No.
anything. Nothing happened.
Technical error.
You can milk anything, fucker. You don't know.
All right. I chose these next couple of stories because I thought it was an interesting contrast. So
Yeah.
this first one is from Air Force Times. And they talk about the status of female recruits, essentially. So
Thanks,
most girls do not think they could succeed in the military, according to the DoD. According to a new data compilation from Joint Advertising Market Research and Studies, or JAMMERS, which is the Defense Department's internal polling agency. Youth interest in military service is in a long plummet, and teenage girls are dramatically less confident than boys that they have what it takes to be successful in uniform. At a brief to the Defense Advisory Committee on Women in the Service in December, JAMMERS director Jeremy Hall showed that a significant drop in interest in military service following the COVID-19 pandemic was quickly becoming the new normal for recruiting. From 2012 to 2019, 13% of young people aged 16 to 21 said they saw themselves definitely or probably serving in the military, but that average dropped to just 10% from 2020 to 2023.
Because they're stuck on social media. Sorry.
Well, yeah, yes, and they address some of those. But that 3% change represents about 1 million American kids.
Wow.
Damn, that's a lot. So, moreover, data shows women in particular lack the confidence to pursue military aspirations, even if they have them. According to surveys conducted in the fall and spring of 2023, 26% of young men said they probably or definitely sure they could fight in a war, compared to just 8% of young women.
Oh,
So much
Isn't
for that
interesting
empowering
that
thing.
Hegs, that Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense was back in the day when he said that he didn't believe women should be in a combat role,
Right.
and because women were really aspiring to become more combative, be involved in those kind of units.
Yeah.
And now we've got women who are younger, who are the potential candidates to fill those roles, don't feel confident enough. Don't feel like that they can do it. That's amazing. It's like a paradigm shift, big time. You know what I mean?
Well, sure. And I think it does go to a little bit like what Anna's saying. There's social media stuff out there. There's social media is killing the kids, man.
Oh,
It's
I think
absolutely
so
killing
too.
the kids. You know?
So I'm pretty happy with Australia doing their ban until they're 16.
I think that's smart, but then there's going to be a black market for them. So
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
they'll walk a block from house, and they'll, back then it was like, oh, I'll stash my cigarettes here. I'll pick them up on the way to school. Now it's I'll stash my phone here and I'll pick it up on the way to school. So, but both men and women are becoming less confident in their ability to serve. DoD data shows overall young men rate confidence at 43%, down from 51% in 2018, while young women rate confidence at 26%, down from 33% in 2018. Man. Top influencers in young people's lives, their parents, aunts, uncles, coaches, and other adults aren't doing much to push them toward military service. Specifically, parents with daughters are dramatically less likely to encourage their children to serve than parents with sons, 42% versus 32%. While that gap appeared to be closing in the early and mid-2000s, it widened again in 2020 to its greatest ever disparity, 45% for sons, 30% for daughters. The researcher did not name specific cases for the reasons for this, but the summer of 2020 had several instances of military sexual assault and harassment in the news.
Yeah.
Right?
That's because men aren't reporting this sexual assault or harassment.
Well,
on the men's side?
Well, that's true.
I mean, think of every situation that you've been in where a woman like made you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They're not going to report it.
Sort of like tonight.
Would you report it?
Sorry.
Guys wouldn't report it. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say something too bad, but I think they would probably be like, see if I can see where this goes. You know?
I know, right? They're curious and they're like, dude, maybe. But women have a different idea of how harassment and assault
that's true.
is.
That's true.
Those two topics. So
but I think around that year is when they were pushing all those stories. That was Me Too. That was everything else is sexual harassment.
Yeah, but when you look at the big scheme, those events are very, very few and far between.
But they got the majority of news time.
Yeah.
And social media did that, right? Everything is pushed to the surface.
That's
and
true.
now you can't go in without being sexually assaulted.
That's true.
Yeah.
This
Much
is
like
kind
the
of
Mormon
funny.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond fears and concerns based on recent events, Jammers knowledge surveys show teens have an outdated or off-base idea about the military in general. Only 1 in 5 boys and 1 in 10 girls can name all 6 military services. And only 38% of young people on average said they knew the difference between an enlisted person and an officer. Here's the funny part. This director said he found it humorous that a number of survey takers reported believing that members of the Marine Corps served not in amphibious environments, but on submarines.
Oh,
that's interesting, isn't it?
Corps.
That's like the man on the
There you
street
go.
stuff, you know. That's where they just ask random people. So,
you know, I think the moment that we introduce military education into the high schools, or possibly the junior highs or whatever they call it now, middle schools, that paradigm will shift. It has to be put into some sort of government education where we're learning about legislature and learning about all the different branches that should be a part, military branches and what they do and why.
It would be interesting to see what they're teaching history, right? You know, I don't know if they teach any military history, to be honest. I don't remember getting.
Well, now remember
much
some of
history.
the high schools still have JTRC or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
ROTC guys, the ROTC programs, right?
Hey, Eric, your trip to the moon's about to blast off. We need to go up there and.
You know what I'm saying? The ROTC program.
JROTC, right?
JROTC, yes.
But what's coming to try to change this around, right? In February, he said the new military campaign across all services will go live, and it'll say, quote, "You have a calling, we have an answer." I was like, all right, that might not be too bad. That might not be too bad.
Again.
I thought the old Air Force commercials weren't too bad. When they were like showing you doing things in your civilian life, and they're like, "This is how that translates." Right? Those weren't bad commercials, really. The one that always cracked me up about the Space Force one. Do you remember the Space Force one? I think it was before the Space Force. It was like when it was still Air Force Space Command, and they had like the Mexican girl, and the dad was watching a soccer game, and the TV goes fuzzy. And he's like, "Maria!" And she runs up to the top, and she's like adjusting the dish. And the soccer game comes in clear, and they're like, "Yeah!" And they're like, "We have a job for you."
Sorry, I must mute it. No, I'm not playing any games. It was
Will
breaking.
Scholar.
They're talking about noise mitigation.
Oh man!
Breaking news! Breaking news! I do feel bad for the surrounding neighborhoods. Anywho, we'll keep going.
Of what?
Oh my God. Why? What
For
happened
the-
around the neighborhood? Do you have a?
For the auditorium up there?
So loud. They have huge rock concerts there. Okay, don't digress.
Oh my gosh! Like you didn't see it coming. They've been telling you guys have been building it for 10 years.
Oh, that
That
Amphitheater
auditorium,
outside.
the amphitheater.
Yeah. Where are they building that at? Tell Josh.
It's
built.
It's already built.
Built, and cranky old ladies are pissed because it's so loud.
Dude, you can see it from I-25 going south. You can see it.
The
That's right on
houses,
the
the
road.
nearest houses are over I-25. So they didn't complain about the highway noise. You know?
Base is very different than traffic.
Well, that's true. I thought that first story about how they were saying that, basically teenage girls are not really feeling confident, not feeling like going in the military. So I wanted to contrast it with this story from Air Education and Training Command.
Oh, I like this one.
So the Air Force names its first female SERE specialist as a chief master sergeant. Right? Yeah, very good. Tiffany Zalaudik became the first female survival, evasion, resistance, escape specialist to earn the rank of Chief Master Sergeant, the highest enlisted rank in the U.S. Air Force, on November 1st. So good honor, right?
That's high speed, man.
Let me show you the new chief. That's the new chief. Look at that picture, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a tough chica.
I know. Although not the first female SERE specialist, when Zaludek earned her beret in 2007, she did break an 8-year dry spell in which no woman had graduated from the specialized training course. Reflecting on her initial recruitment, she remembers her recruiter handing her a SERE brochure with no women in it. He told me that he only knew of one woman to ever graduate SERE specialist training, and that I didn't look like the type who would do this job because I was so feminine. I understood SERE was a demanding career path, but I felt I was ready for the challenge.
Yes, sir.
Anna, have you ever been told that you were too feminine?
I am a soft leader.
Let's be honest, Marty. That's not what this was talking about.
No, but I just was curious.
The SERE career field is go and survive in the woods for freaking weeks on end.
And I would never do that.
Let's be honest. Anna's never doing it. This lady doesn't. She's got more makeup on than anybody around. You don't.
But you know what? I got to tell you guys,
a rabbit apart on her face. You know,
this is the kind of person that you need to rise to the top of the pile.
Yeah.
That shows some of these younger women
the pile.
How confident this one is. You know what I mean?
Push
these forward.
Thank you, Eric. That's why I was trying to contrast these two stories.
Well done,
I'm sure
Marty.
Josh has been told that he was too feminine to work as
I told him that as a supervisor.
You cuddle me, so then it made it better.
Josh, let that elastic out. You're looking too feminine these days. Those hips, man. That flight suit.
Give yourself some Velcro there. Come on.
Jeez, dude.
So as I read to the story, I'll give you that's a good looking picture, isn't it?
That's actually really good. They did really good.
When sure enough, 8 years later, Zaludek was out in the woods demonstrating to students how to properly skin and prepare a rabbit, all while rocking a bleach blonde ponytail and acrylic nails. Jake,
see
when Zaludek first began her training, some people doubted her abilities simply due to her gender. They jokingly called her Combat Barbie and questioned whether she would make it. Her response to them was always the same. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'm going to leave it all out there. So that's a good response, actually. That's
well done.
That's impressive. I've met many women that I would truly follow to the end. And then I've met some that I'm like, no, I don't feel very confident next to you. And I know my skills and they're not that strong. So I'm not going to.
During SERE specialist training, Zaludik said her goal was to not only meet but exceed every standard, and she told herself that quitting was never an option. She was determined to be judged on her capabilities, not her gender. She just needed the chance to perform. Training phase after training phase, Zaludik excelled until she ultimately earned both her beret and recognition as a top performer by the SERE cadre. Even after becoming a SERE specialist, though, Zaludik said some people weren't able to look beyond her gender and misjudged her. Individuals mischaracterized her outgoing personality as a form of weakness, she said. Zaludik responded by acting more reserved, becoming more stoic, and flattening her character to blend in. She said she's spoken to other women in the services who have experienced a similar watering down of their identity as a response to inaccurate accusations that their success is attributed to their gender or looks. Zaludik eventually emerged from this protective cocoon and reclaimed her outgoing identity, and now she's a chief master sergeant.
She looks
I'm gonna
awfully
say something
young
mean.
to be a chief.
Oh shit!
Oh,
I'm going to say something mean. Do you think she has a stool like where her feet are?
I thought that too. I thought that too.
It's so mean. I can't do that. There's no way. Maybe one day.
I don't know. We gotta assume that she's doing pull-ups there.
A
right?
pull-up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But I did cross my mind too. So her quote is, to all the women out there, please know that strength and femininity go hand in hand. You don't have to act or look a particular way to do well in your career dominated by men. I personally like wearing makeup and doing my hair. That doesn't make me less of a SERE specialist. And for those who prefer not to wear makeup or do their hair, that doesn't make them any less of a woman. You can look however you want to look within regulation and be your own brand of woman. That's a good quote. That's a decent quote. I like that.
Does it say how old she is?
I don't know. She earned her beret in 2007. So
it's interesting. I mean, she looks really young to be a chief. I was just curious.
She might just have those, those genes. I don't know.
Or we might be old.
Oh, we are old.
No, we are old. Yeah, there's no doubt with that.
Any woman that could potentially drag out Jake, Eric, or Marty, or Josh when they are incapable
a combat environment
themselves, out of a situation.
Sorry.
Are you?
I didn't do that on purpose. I can't remember where the setting is.
All the power to them. All the power to them.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no way that I could drag Jake if he was incapacitated. There's no way.
It'd be a lot of work for all of us to drag me around.
Yeah.
And
I tried to save him for like a moment.
It is interesting because she's not like doing a G.I. Jane where she's trying to go like SEAL school. Hardcore, she's a survivor specialist, which is pretty good. I mean, you got to go out field, you got to learn what to eat, you got to learn how to do escape, the resistance part, the POW camp stuff.
There's a part of the resistance piece that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a perfect kind of special. It's I don't know. Is it considered
mentality.
Special operations?
I think it's mentality.
But it is because she's not. She's expected to survive. She's teaching survival skills. Resistance, evasion, that kind of thing. So she's not like, oh, we need you to carry this 100-pound rock up this hill, and she's like, no, I'll tell you how to eat a rabbit. How about that with acrylic nails?
I think there's a lot more to it, though, than just the survival piece.
Yeah,
for sure.
There is, of course. She's got it. Well, and Carrie, I'm glad you transitioned me to right there. If you are interested in joining Zaludik as a SERE specialist, reach out to your local recruiter and begin training for the physical fitness requirements. Before joining the tech training course, potential SERE specialists need to complete 8 pull-ups in 2 minutes, 48 sit-ups in 2 minutes, 40 push-ups in 2 minutes, and a 1.5-mile run in less than 11 minutes. So that's just the gateway to qualify to go to the course.
Yeah.
So
I could have done that. I just couldn't eat a rabbit.
You'd be surprised at what you can do when you're hungry, Anna.
Yeah, 8 pull-ups. Come on, Anna. Let's be honest.
Dude, when I was in my 30s, I could do at least 4.
Yeah.
Well, that's not 8.
I can't do one right now.
Yeah,
But
I'm pretty sure. Like, was
try.
it Foreigner that said "living on a prayer"? You're halfway there, right?
At least I
Bon
get
Jovi.
One of them.
Jake. You don't know.
Because
Same haircut.
Pandora plays that every hour. So that's just so you know.
You're
I
living
have
on a prayer.
less mass that I can lift.
How about you, Josh? Before
That's
all
valid,
that
that's
all that
valid.
stomach crap started happening with you, how were you in terms of being in shape?
I don't think I would have been able to do all. I mean, maybe at the peak.
Maybe if you practice, right? I mean,
Practice.
especially pull-ups. The pull-ups doesn't come naturally to anybody.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was never good at pull-ups. Sit-ups, push-ups, probably.
Sure. Yeah.
Running, I run like a duck, so that would have been a little hard.
But back then it was a bike test, right?
No, I did the run. The bike was right when I was leaving.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and at that point, I just was phoning it in. I was getting ready for my "fuck you" send off. So I was like, "Are you gonna yell at me if I don't run?" Cool.
The epic send off.
It was funny back in the early 2000s because the reserves had that walk, right? That 3-mile walk test.
Within 13 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
No. It was
It was a mile and a half.
It was like
13,
40 something minutes, right? There was a range.
Yeah.
But yeah, that actually hurt worse than running because you got shin splints and everything else.
Right.
But we had a guy in our reserve squadron who was one of the fastest walkers, and he smoked all goddamn day long. But he could walk like a son of a bitch. I was like, holy shit, how is this guy doing that? And he drank Mountain Dew all day. So he drank Mountain Dew, he smoked, and he was the fastest walker we had. So,
yeah, but
He
all
works
you have
at-
to
he-
do at that size, we've discussed it before, Marty. You just
Just
get that
lean forward.
it's a controlled fall. That's all it is, right? You get that belly over that center mass, falling
forward,
all the way
baby.
to 3 miles.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, let's close this damn thing out with our last story from Task and Purpose. Space Force wants its own boot camp.
Unbelievable.
Mhm.
Now, hold on, Eric.
I don't-
Just hold on.
Here,
Listen.
already.
Just listen before you pass judgment. You security
Why not?
forces, son of a bitch. Leaders of the U.S. military's newest branch have said they want Space Force Guardians to go through their own basic military training, one that is separate from the rest of the Air Force. Well, let's see. Chief of Space Operations General Chance Saltzman said during the 2025 Space Power Conference in Orlando, quote, "We're trying to figure out what's the right scope, what's the right scale, what's the right evolution away from having the Air Force training our inductees and getting to a more Guardian-focused environment," close quote.
Yeah, send them to boys camp.
Issues that need to be resolved include the location, curriculum, and physical requirements for Space Force's boot camp, as well as a timeline for establishing it. As of now, Guardians attend 7.5 weeks of BMT at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland in Texas, where Space Force recruits have had their own space-oriented curriculum since May 2022.
Wait, it's already happening? Eric,
Well-
where'd you throw a fit out on that one?
Yeah.
I didn't know it, or I would have.
Oh, there you go.
Been doing it for 2 years there, buddy.
Air Force is
just so
probably
funny.
shrinking the amount of slots Space Force gets, too. They're like, we're only 2 and 2 flights. It's
Oh,
on
yeah.
our dime.
Yeah. After they graduate from BMT, Guardians attend tech school to receive job-specific training. Krista DeAndrea, spokesman for Air Education and Training Command, said there are approximately 2 flights of Guardians going through training at any one time. Most of the training for Guardians is the same as what airmen experience. The only difference is some of the curriculum is specified or specific to the U.S. Space Force. All right. Todd Harrison, a senior fellow with the American Enterprise Institute think tank in Washington, D.C., said it makes sense for the Space Force to have its own boot camp because it would introduce new recruits to the culture of the service and help the service more firmly establish and cultivate its own identity.
Really, that's what it would do?
The expectations and culture of enlistees in the Space Force are different than the Air Force. The Space Force has a much smaller enlisted force relative to its officer corps. 52% of the Space Force is enlisted compared to 81% in the Air Force. And the Space Force has a higher share of senior non-commissioned officers within its ranks. Twice as many enlisted Guardians have a 4-year college degree than in the other services.
Oh, they're educated.
Yeah.
SMRT.
Yeah. That's why they need. That's why they need their own basic training. They're educated.
What is SMRT?
I was intentionally spelling smart wrong.
Oh.
That's right.
Acronym. I thought it was an acronym.
Anna, your trip to the moon is about to take off. You go up there.
You got the seat next to me,
Try
Anna.
out some stuff.
Screw.
Our favorite CU joke was, do you know what the N on the Nebraska helmet means? Knowledge.
I really thought it was an acronym. I'm like running it through my mind.
That was perfect. Their timing couldn't have been better. The space.
Eric, I think I'm with you though. If Space Force and Air Force break their basic training apart, who's going to push the Space Force people around in their rolly chairs? We got to have the Air Force for something.
Yeah,
We got it. It's Air Force, baby.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yeah.
Well, the Air Force is just going to have to go back to making fun of the guys who went security forces.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Or Space Force ain't around here. But how about those smart guys?
Security
over
forces.
We are hardcore combat defenders.
You're the
Combat
infantry of the Air Force.
Defenders.
That's right.
Come on.
Let's go down the path of Space Force basic training, like for reals.
Okay. All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, what did we learn in basic training? We learned how to drill. We learned how to follow.
Yeah.
We learned the history of the Air Force,
Rank structure.
rank structure.
All right.
We got physically fit. We learned how to eat really fast.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
So we only need to do half of that, right? Physically fit? No.
Oh.
Eat really
No,
fast.
but they
yeah.
should be. They should adopt some sort of physical regiment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Healthcare is
I
expensive.
don't think they've decided on what they're going to do for a PT test yet. I don't think officially they've decided on what they're going to do yet.
I'm telling you, it's going to be summer camp, and you go away for 2 weeks,
Man, I'm excited about it.
and you get your little frickin', what kind of space badge are you going to wear? Here you go after 2 weeks, and pat them on the head and send them on their way.
And
That would
3
be
ribbons.
so exciting because remember back in the day, if you were going into missiles as an officer, everybody's like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
But
the
if you think
infantry of
about
the
it
officer.
now, hey, I'm going into missile warning. Like that's got to be like the sexiest, most, mission that you
Well,
can get into.
Considering you're
At
going to
this
go to, you
And
have a
maybe-
choice of like radar. Yeah, you're going up to Thule. You'd be like, rah, rah, rah.
North
Cavalier,
Dakota.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a good point, right? I mean,
I don't know.
either that or Schriever. I mean,
Interesting.
that's where it's going to be. So should they have boot camp at Schriever? That would be ideal. So they can get them
No.
used to the weather, and then anywhere they go from there is going to be better.
They can get altitude acclimated.
That's true.
No, Starcom's standing up at Patrick. So that's
Well-
where it's going.
No, don't give them Patrick for basic.
No,
Because
literally,
everywhere
that's,
they go from there is going to be crap.
Marty, that's where they're going.
No, they're
They've
going to go to
already started
Houston.
starting it up. They've already
They're going to
I'm
go to
saying-
Houston, where
I'm
NASA
saying
has their day camp.
There you go.
It'll be
yeah,
NASA.
space,
Houston.
space
Telling you,
camp
it'll be Houston.
and Air Force or Space Force basic training.
They've got
Which one do you want?
facilities. They got room for them. They can frickin' teach them their little scope W, put their
Yeah.
little aluminum hats
Well,
on.
What about
Here's my-
Alabama?
Okay. This guy, he's been waiting. He's been so waiting for a lower force to make fun of forever because Air Force has been the lower force, and now we got somebody else to make fun of.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
But I'm telling, here's my pitch for Schriever, right? You put them through Schriever, and then their fit test is to park in the farthest row of the parking lot.
Go through the turnstiles.
Get through the turnstiles and get to the mod within a certain amount of time, or else you fail your fit test.
Yeah.
That's it.
Late
That's
for
all you got to
changeover.
do.
Late
Yeah.
for changeover.
So you got to run that quarter mile to the turnstile and then snake your way into the right mod.
You got to badge in.
Got to
Well,
badge in. Right.
Don't get it red. Click, click. Oh no.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck. Uh-oh.
Waiting on the time.
Back to the line. You were no-go.
Hey, someone call Eric. I got a guy stuck in the frickin' turnstile again.
There you go.
Oh, the cops were just on standby just there that day.
Give me your
Space Force
341.
PT test today. You know how it is.
Crazy.
We're standing here. We're standing there. It doesn't matter.
I do think, thinking back to not so much the basic part of it, but the tech school part of it. Because correct me if I'm wrong, like when we went in space, it wasn't you knew we were going. You didn't know
Yeah,
you were going to
right,
be missile
right.
maintainer,
Right,
radar, SIBRs. And I remember going through it was tests through, and then as people failed out, it was a certain set of jobs.
Yeah.
Kept on testing another set of jobs, right? And then at the very end, I think I was the only one in class that was going to Swiss, going to Buckley.
Really?
And it was like everyone else was going to Shreveport, Patterson, down to Florida.
Yeah.
They told me Buckley, and I like had to literally flip through the book to figure out there was something at Buckley, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as basic goes, I agree. I don't think the physical part of it, I think the drill, the leading, I think those are all important. I think truly it should be tack on schooling to prepare them for tech school.
Yeah.
Right. I think that to me,
To bring them up
weed
to
them
that
out
level.
faster. Yeah.
Customs and courtesies will be part of it too. How to freaking interact with your officer corps and your NCO corps.
And it's showing already there's more NCOs and officers and educated people in the Space Force right now. So
yeah, it would
We've
be
fought
interesting
against
to
that
see
rank structure for a long time, though.
And lost pathetically because it got worse.
Yeah.
When they stopped lieutenants from going to the missile fields, they said you don't have to do a missile command first, and you can go straight into SIBRs, and it was just like, oh,
Buckley, everybody.
what are we gonna do with these guys? So.
Nope, I think everyone should go through missile warning because
Well,
that truly that challenges you not only as a leader but as a person.
Yeah,
and then skirt off into some other space.
So let me ask you guys this:
the more space stuff next.
That's what I was trying to say. I saw Jake's face, and he's so disappointed in me, and I threw me off. He's like,
"You almost had it. You almost had it."
That's all.
Do you guys not believe
here's
this
the
is
thing.
not about money?
Oh, it is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sure, I agree with you. I agree with that.
So I have a question. Does the Coast Guard have a basic training?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a school for the Coast Guard. Yeah. The
Why
defense
not?
rests.
Is that it? Oh, well.
Why not?
That was it.
They have
But
to learn
it's
how to
like
swim and handle boats.
Right. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think it wouldn't be as elaborate because you wouldn't be having that many people because the end strength of the Space Force is really a third of what the Air Force is. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't have an issue with it. Get these.
I get the physical part. There is
and they're going to have different standards. Yeah, they're going to have
What?
different standards in it. So
I don't know. If we start sending Guardians to space, you would have to be physically fit. I would think you can't be Jabba the Hutt in space and just blurb.
Gravity has no
around.
effect on that.
we got a lot of those.
It's
now,
measured
so.
by the porthole size, like the submarines. Your bacon has no effect on the amount of you weigh.
I
in
still
space.
say bring the flight suits back, and if you're
Oh,
out of
then
Velcro,
shame 'em all.
that's it. You got to go on the Fat Boy program. Because that's a lot of Velcro, and we've seen people max out that Velcro. But if you run completely out the little tabs on the side, if you run completely out of that, it's like, okay, you got to do something now, dude.
Yeah, listen, wait.
Yeah.
It'll make your size.
That's like asking for another seatbelt. Can I rent another seatbelt extender, please?
Oh, Eric, here we go.
Okay, so I was curious about the comparison. Like, Coast Guard has 40-something thousand just active members,
Yeah.
and Space only has 10,000.
10,000?
So maybe it's too immature.
It's very few, right?
Yeah.
So and I get that because
give it time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what would you get out of a Air Force basic training that you couldn't get out of maybe an abbreviated Space Force basic training? You know,
Well, just give them different pamphlets, take different tests, right? In basic, we had to have those information books that we had to remember all the rank, the history, all that stuff.
Sure.
You'd be standing in the chow line reading your book, right?
Was it Air Force knowledge?
Yeah,
The
the
knowledge
Air Force.
book.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just do the same thing only for space. Your space knowledge, space rank, space everything.
Right.
I like that.
But Respecky's right, though. We might need to bring them up to a different educational level, maybe,
Could be. Yeah, could be.
to get them.
Ooh, that's going to be a touchy-feely kind of place to go.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a degree. Sorry. You're a dumbass. We can't accept you.
Did you try security forces?
Yeah. Air Force.
Hey, shit, Bird.
Air
I have
Force
my
Security
degree.
Forces will take you.
I have my degree. By God. I'm an educated guy.
Whoa, yeah.
It takes a very different brain to understand orbital mechanics. Just saying.
Agreed.
I
I mean, electronic warfare is crazy too. Like, there's just
That's true.
Yeah.
You could spend a little bit more time. I mean, you could do all of EUST in it, right? Or the old Space 100, whatever they're calling it now. You can incorporate that into the basic and save you 4 weeks out at Vandenberg.
Yep.
Radio frequencies in itself is super complicated. You're like, what? What?
Sure. I mean, you could sing cadences about orbital mechanics to help you, you know.
the right ascension of the sending node does not go to marching orders.
Oh, look at him.
Get out of here.
You're talking about Rand?
You talk about the Rand? Rand doesn't go in a cadence.
The weird
Come on.
guy on the saddle guy that goes like this. That's how I memorized it.
home in, transfer.
Rand is on his horsey.
See, Eric's just seething at this. He's seething.
You guys are making my case about why they need their own.
This is the case why we need to be isolated.
But you said we don't need it, and now maybe you're coming around and going, well, maybe we could shave these guys off. Maybe that would be better.
On the educated people. You people need your own.
True anomaly. I am right here.
Oh.
That stuff is hard to like visualize.
Yeah,
it is really hard.
And you know, every non-space person is like, this show sucks, man. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. We do feel sorry for that security forces guy.
Yeah, see, they can relate. All that education floating around him.
Well, speaking of education, Eric, why don't you educate us on some U.S. military history?
Why, by God, I can do that. It might be a little over your head, though. So,
thank you.
History is or behind my head.
Okay, so everybody remembers what happened on 7 December 1941, correct?
Oh yeah,
we do.
Yeah. So everybody knows who ran the Pacific during the war. That was Rear Admiral Chester Nimitz, right?
Girls, they run the world.
Girls run the world. So, do you recall who was running Pac Fleet prior to Nimitz?
Halsey.
Negative. Kimmel.
That's a facial condition.
So if you remember, Kimmel was the problem with the attack.
Okay.
So on the morning of 16 December 1941, 9 days after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Rear Admiral Chester Nimitz was working at his desk in the U.S. Navy's Bureau of Navigation. He was on the East Coast.
Okay.
When he was summoned to the office of the Secretary of the Navy, Frank Knox. Exhausted from working for more than a week with little sleep, Nimitz trudged over to Knox's office. When Nimitz arrived, Knox asked the Rear Admiral how soon could he be ready to travel. Nimitz curtly replied that depends on where he was going and how long he'd be away. Knox answered, "You're going to take command of the Pacific Fleet.
Damn.
And I think you will be gone a long time." So Nimitz was stunned. So again, on 16 December 1941, that's when Nimitz took over as commander of the Pacific Fleet. I thought it was earlier on.
He was already command.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew Kimmel had been in trouble, but I was really surprised. So Nimitz was stunned. That night, he packs his things for the trip to Hawaii. He contemplated his mixed feelings at the new assignment. His wife, Catherine, noticed that he was lost in thought and commented that he must be gratified to have been given the command of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Unable to bear the weight of the nation's secret any longer, Nimitz turned to her and confided, "Darling, the fleet's at the bottom of the sea. And nobody must know that here, but I had to tell you." So he knew that all the battleship groups were gone. He had just a few ships. His carriers were the only thing that were left.
Yeah.
So he didn't believe his command was going to be that big. So when Nimitz made this remark, even he did not yet know the full scope of the tragedy that had befallen the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Knox had publicly announced that the battleship Arizona had been sunk and the battleship Oklahoma had capsized as a result of the Japanese attack, but only a handful of Americans outside Hawaii knew that the 3 additional battleships, 3 light cruisers, and 2 destroyers also sat in the mud in Pearl Harbor.
Jeez.
Nor had the Navy and Army revealed that a total of 24,000 people, Americans, had been killed and an additional 1178 had been wounded. So again, you start to garner the scope of what Chester Nimitz was facing.
Okay.
His fleet's decimated. He knows he's got some carriers, but all the death, the battleships are sunk. And he was a lower ranking admiral. And by the way, Halsey was one in front of him that the Secretary of Navy said, "Nope, I'm not giving you the job. I'm giving it to Nimitz." Yeah. And it was first recommended by Roosevelt. Roosevelt's one that pushed Knox to put Nimitz in the chair. So,
damn.
And he lived up to the occasion. 16 December 1941.
And they kept that secret for 10 days.
Yeah. Well, it was all classified. They kept most of it classified, especially coming out of Hawaii.
Yeah.
So all the numbers had to still be counted, and it was a mess.
Wow. Yeah, but shutting down that news and not letting the U.S. population know. Can you imagine that operation nowadays?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I think there is still a little bit of that they don't release, that we don't find out until later. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how, like Benghazi. I don't know when we found out about Benghazi. Yeah. All the details about Benghazi.
Those 13 days. Yeah. What's interesting is we talk about leaders. Right, 13 hours. Sorry, we talk about leadership on this podcast quite a bit, and looking back over the leaders that were in place during World War II or even prior wars, it seems like their capabilities, their leadership styles were so much at a higher level than what we have today. I truly believe that. When you think about the pullout of Afghanistan, you had the Joint Chiefs and all those generals that had something to do with that. What a failure that was.
It really was. But I want to believe that we had competent people up there, but maybe their decisions were overrode, or maybe their inputs were like, "Nah, we got to do this." And they're like, "We're recommending you not to do this." So like, noted, but I'm told we got to do this, so we got to push.
Maybe so.
And they're like,
it's just really interesting. I mean, Nimitz walks into a shit show basically, and fixes it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Takes the bull by the horns and gets the job done, man.
Well, that's
impressive.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good one, Eric.
Right
Way to end the show. Josh, we got you late. I know we got you late, man. I know you got more to add. You got to say something.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
What's coming up on the schedule for you over the next? I don't. Are you kind of off until the new year, or what?
Finish up office stuff this week. Send out a couple more reports, type some stuff in, set up a couple meetings for next year, and then I'm off starting Friday until the 1st. So get a little rest and relaxation.
Do you just give out cigarettes for Christmas presents?
Right? No, none of my family smokes. So it's crazy. I couldn't even give them out like Oprah. No.
Like, come on, Mom. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Get them out at dinner.
What do you got to lose at this point, Mom? Come on.
So I've always wondered why tobacco hasn't gotten on to this is kind of a girl type or woman type comment. But most ladies start smoking when they're trying to lose weight because it suppresses appetite. So why hasn't tobacco like kind of, I don't know, fed that type of
Yeah, they tried that in the 60s and 50s.
Well, and I think the
crappy recommending them.
Health side effects have something to do with that too.
Yeah.
Like chemically changing it from smoking to like a pill you can take.
Well, there's plenty of different nicotine things that we do right now, right? So the Zen stuff, that's nicotine based, right? That's a synthetic version of it. But even like snus, which is like a fermented version of tobacco, that's got nicotine in it. And then, so RJ Reynolds, you remember Ebola, right? When Ebola came and they were racing to get all those vaccines, RJ Reynolds was one of the companies that our bioengineer part of the company created one of the vaccines for Ebola. So it's not just cigarettes.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of different stimulant products. So like mood enhancer, like go to sleep, focus, energy. So
cocaine
company, cocaine. Yeah, that's just extra. Send me the address.
Nice.
Jesus.
Well, just a little energy.
Lost control of us.
That definitely will help you lose weight, I think. I don't know. I've never tried cocaine.
Yeah. I mean, I tell my daughter that all the time. She's like, why is everybody so goddamn skinny in the 70s? I was like, fucking coke, man. They were all coked up, baby. I mean, every band, every actors, they were, it was good times back then.
Cocaine and cigarettes.
So.
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's Virginia Slims was a big one for like the older women smoking, right? But for those who were like Grease, like Anna, and she was like, so hanging out with Frankie and the Pink Ladies,
Groucho Marx.
Grouchy Anna.
1920s mafia.
Puff blow.
Turn in your first 48.
You can't even remember what it was.
I'm not certifying your orders.
I do love it. You go and you tour like the launch facilities back then, and like every inside console for the engineers had a ashtray. Because those guys were smoking. They were chain smoking, those sons of bitches, right?
Yeah.
Especially like doing Apollo 13, right? These guys are like, oh, we're going to get these guys back.
Nice.
So, anyway, Josh Respecki, it's great to have you back on the show, man. That was, it's good to see you. It's good to see you.
Great to meet you. Great to meet you.
Yeah, wonderful to meet you, too.
I mean, all us Sivers guys, I mean, Eric, you're a... honorary Sibbers guy.
He doesn't want that honor.
He's a hog. He's a hog. He's an honorary guardian.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh yeah,
guardian.
Honorary guard.
Didn't he guard the missile silos?
No.
Where did you challenge the trash?
Hell no. I was in a weapon storage area, just a WSA, a weapon storage area. Not missiles.
I thought it was missiles.
Non-nuclear munitions kind of thing.
Yeah. So We would send guys out to the WSA when they lost their clearance. And it was like, go work with those guys. We can't use you.
Whatever.
He has a shirt on that says maximum effort.
That's right. Come on. Come on.
Nice.
Well, on that note, let's close out this episode. On behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure next week that you are not late for changeover.
I love
Josh,
that.
it was good to see you. Eric, Jake, Anna, thanks for being here. And all of you listening and watching, thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next week.
Merry
Yeah, it's always
Christmas,
fun.
everybody.
Merry Christmas!
It's always fun.